These telephone town halls are a joke and are screened and carefully screened.
The Republicans have nearly completed their transformation into the Roman aristocracy, out of touch, wealthy, moral degenerates who are actively isolating themselves from the wants and needs of the people. But those who are really Americans, like our subscribers, are going to find a way to make their voices heard, just like this voter who snuck into a virtual town hall held by MAGA Republican Stephanie Bice from Oklahoma in order to call her out straight to her face. Well, virtually to her face.
Is this me?
Yes, it is. Michael from Edmond, you are on.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad. Well, I'm glad I made the cut here. Without dodging my question or giving me the okey doke, can you tell me why you are not holding in-person town halls where you can look your constituents in the face, eye to eye, and answer tough questions? These telephone town halls are a joke and are screened and carefully screened. I had to pretend to be asking another question. I would have never gotten this question in. And why are you not facing your voters face to face, in person? Why are you dodging the voters? And then my second question
I'm not dodging it. Okay, wait, hold on. I get to answer now. I'm not dodging the voters at all, sir. I said at the beginning of this call that this is the 30th telephone town hall I have done. And let me make this very clear. I can reach several thousand constituents. When I dial out to this telephone town hall, I am never going to get that kind of engagement if I'm doing in-person town halls. I am lucky to get a couple hundred. And that's on a great day. I do not dodge my constituents. I meet with constituents not only in the district, but in Washington, D.C. all the time on issues that I don't necessarily, am in favor of. So I take offense to the idea that you think I'm dodging questions, because that's not the case. And frankly, I'm glad you asked. I had individuals on the call tonight that had expertise in the things that my constituents want to hear about. They want to hear about the big, beautiful bill. They want to hear about tax policy. And especially for my senior citizens that are across the district, they have the opportunity to sit in their homes and listen to the answers that are being given and understand what's happening in D.C. rather than having to drive to a location, especially in the evening if it's during the winter months, in the dark. So I do these because they are effective, and I will continue to do them. As I mentioned, this is the 30th I've done. You will see me doing many more every month as long as I can do them.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. We're just about out of time. Do you have a brief closing remark you'd like to give?
Of course, the caller was rushed away before they could ask their second question, and the town hall was quickly ended after they were called out for the clear bullshit strategy, a strategy that's being used across the Republican Party right now. This little trick of only having virtual town halls in order to dodge any form of accountability is exactly how Texas Republicans are manufacturing consent in order to redistrict Texas mid-decade. That way they can steal 5 Democratic seats before the midterms.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Welcome, Senator Blanco. You touched on something about the 7,000 people that are without broadband. Is that right? I'm sorry, 7 million. So just to give you a rundown how things have gone since we've been holding virtual only hearings, on Friday we had 118 people sign in, but only 48 actually testified. Saturday, 80 people signed up, but only 34 testified. Yesterday, 120 plus, I don't have the exact number, signed up, only 54 testified. Today, we have 130-ish that have signed up, so we'll see how many people actually testify. I would urge those who are on to please stay in the queue and make your voices heard, testify. In Houston, we had this was an in-person hearing, well over 1,000, and I'm sure it was more than that, but that's just the number I have. And yesterday, I think the latest numbers we had was well over 800 in person. So that's why Senator Miles and I have been pushing for in-person regional hearings once the maps are provided. Mr. Chairman, I also want to clarify too that the House the committee limited their testimony to 5 hours each time. I think if they had gone longer, and you've allowed you haven't put a time limit on this in terms of how long the meeting can go, I think everybody would have stayed. As I mentioned, when we left here Saturday, both Senator Miles and I drove back to Houston, and we were there towards the end of the hearing, and there were still a few hundred people waiting to testify, but the House committee cut it off. And thanks to Senator Miles, there was, I guess, like an informal hearing, the people's hearing, at a church down the street where those that were not able to testify walked over and testified. So people that are showing up in person, these regional hearings, they are waiting to testify. However, the time has been cut off at 5 hours. So that's a difference there.
And we won't do that. And when we're having in-person hearings, we won't do that either. And I know you can, I think in terms of the virtual and the in-person as being complementing one another, whereas not everybody lives in Arlington, Fort Worth, and not everyone lives in Houston. That's the two places the House has had hearings. We're hopefully reaching out to people all across the state of Texas because everyone can testify from any place in the state, and everyone can watch online from, I guess, anywhere in the world. And so I see those as complementing each other. But I do recognize and understand that there is a difference, without question, between virtual and between traveling to a site. But there's also a difference in being able to reach the whole state and let people testify from across the state, and people only testify if you can drive to Arlington or drive to Houston. And how many people have we had say, like the lady with the disability yesterday, that I couldn't attend the hearing so I can do it this way, and others who said, you know, I'm down in the valley, and as one young lady said, and thank you that I'm able to participate this way. Others who didn't get to testify at the House hearing, so they were doing it here. And so I think there's pros and cons to each side. And I really believe if we were out traveling and we went to Amarillo and to Beaumont, we'd be hearing from people say, I don't live in Amarillo or Beaumont, and I didn't get to participate. So I think it's trade-offs. And I really thought, in all earnest, what we were doing by doing virtual was really complementing the Fort Worth or Tarrant County and Harris County live testimony that the House was doing, and I thought it was a good compliment. But there are pros and cons, and I just think doing both of them has more pros than cons. But I certainly understand your disagreement with that.
Yes, I mean, every committee meeting we've started with Senator Miles and I talking about the virtual versus the in-person, and I'm sure some of my colleagues are getting tired of us talking about it, but it's just a little frustrating because we've seen firsthand in Houston, for example, people waiting to speak and waiting beyond the 5-hour limit. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for your comments. Senator Miles?
You may want to show me here.
And, oh, yes. Thank you. The clerk, please show Senator Miles with us.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, you're talking about parity of the virtual and the in-person. Mr. Chairman, I personally witnessed over 200 people testify unofficially at my church after Republican House committee members shut it down at the University of Houston. Over 200, Senator Parker, that testified unofficially. So to try to make a parity of what we've done here into that's 200 people that were off record. Okay? So, I mean, I know we would like to think that this process has worked and that we're getting the word out. But the truth of the matter is, it hasn't worked. And I know you, and I respect the fact that you think that, we did this virtual, helped a lot of people. Mr. Chairman, the reality of it is we missed a lot of people, sir, on a very important issue that's important to the democracy of this state and this country. So no matter how we try to shape it, yes, virtual had some positive aspects and reached into some places but we didn't grab the masses in this virtual testimonies. And I personally witnessed this in my district, at my church, in my district. And that's just the reality of it. So let's not try to draw a happy face on a sad face. I mean, the reality of it is, it reached some people, yes it did. It helped some people, yes it did. But it did not grab the masses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Now, this discussion between in-person versus virtual hearings and town halls is kind of silly because obviously you can do both. But right now, the Republicans are using this as an opportunity to stifle discussion in-person hearings where they can't control if it's a Democrat or a Republican who's testifying, and virtual hearings where all the questions are carefully screened so they can make it look like their constituents love what they're doing, when in reality they're just cherry-picking the few psychos who are in line with the current MAGA GOP. And this strategy isn't like a conspiracy. It's open news that this is the play for the Republicans. They said that they were going to do this months ago. Here's a headline from March from ABC News. GOP reps encouraged to do town halls virtually rather than in person after fiery meetings with constituents. All of those town halls that they were doing were ending the same way, with their constituents all up in arms about their horrible Doge policy and backing the BBB and all kinds of stupid bullshit that the Republicans were doing. Well, their constituents were not happy about it. So this is their strategy. Representative Richard Hudson successfully convinced Mike Johnson that this is the strategy they should take back in March, and Johnson's reasoning is just as bad as you'd think. Look, these are their people who do this as a profession, Johnson said at the GOP press conference. They're professional protesters, so why would we give them a forum to do that right now? The best thing that our members can do is communicate directly, frequently, consistently with their constituents, and there are other avenues to do that than just going in to try to give the other side sound bites. So to me, this reads as purposefully trying to silence your opposition. This man is outright saying that his party should withhold First Amendment rights from certain folks because of a conspiracy that there are paid protesters coming to these town halls. At the same time, they're arguing that the virtual town halls reach thousands of constituents, ignoring the fact that he gets to screen which thousands of constituents he's reaching. This is a blatant violation of free speech, as blatant a violation as any I can think of in recent years. The Republicans have lost all pretense of standing up for freedom and liberty. They're completely isolating themselves from criticism and using their phony virtual town halls as justification for their horrendous policy. They can find the craziest, most zealot supporters in any district and only allow those people to ask questions, and then point to those town halls as proof that the people gave them a mandate to pass whatever crazy Trumpian policy they want. It's manufactured consent at its purest and most disastrous. They should ask the French and the Romans how this sort of game ends for those in power. If you guys want to stay informed on this stuff that the Republicans do not want you to know, well then, you know where to find it. Right here at Really American. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.